same minute on Bands on the Square, it's got a recommendation to the full council meeting to via funding from the box bar budget to the events budget to cover the or part of the loss made at Bands on the Square. Joe's had a look at the events budget and thinks that it's doable within the current finances, so we don't need to do that at this stage, but I think we should just bear it in mind if it gets a bit tight towards the end of the year. And then the minute number 9, West Craven Warriors request for signage. Joe and I have met with a representative from the club. They said that they do want to put a sign on the skate ramp end of the building, so that when visiting teams come down they can spot that it's West Craven Warriors. They said there's a problem with visiting teams rocking up, they see the football pitches, think they must be at the wrong place and turn around and then come back 20 minutes later after you can't find it anywhere else. So they do want to put it on that end of the building. They said they would fit it underneath the eaves on that gable end, and they were going to give us some, so either doing it in a banner material, or they would do it in Corex or better than Corex, so that it was reasonably inexpensive, but would do the trick and be durable. So we said we'd report back and make sure people were happy with it.
I still think we should have a more general sign, Victory Park Pavilion, and then home of West Craven Warriors and whatever else community groups use the building or would use the building. I know it now.
All right.
But it shouldn't be the building of West Craven Warriors. It should be Victory Park Pavilion, home of West Craven Warriors. Maybe it might be pedantic, but
no, I agree with what Tom
Okay,
just
yeah.
said.
Chair, I think what West Craven Warriors want is a sign that says West Craven Warriors big enough for somebody that comes down the main entrance, they can spot it and not think that they're in the wrong place. So,
Do that.
I mean,
if we buy a sign for that side of that building with Victory Park Pavilion on it, and it's got the slots on, then they could just pay us to get a slot made up with the logo and name on.
I assume anybody who's being directed there will be given the address of Victory Park.
You'd have thought so, otherwise
They said they drive on and the car parks, but the rationale was quite valid. He says, if they don't catch them, and they're obviously actively looking for people travelling, he said they pull in car park because it's so busy, they don't sort of go into the park, so it needs to be spotted from the first bit of the road. He says, so then they drive on and think because it's all football pitches and there's no rugby, not nets, are they? Posts, rugby posts, then they just drive straight back out in 15 minutes, so they turn up back here.
Do you know what's odd is that we never had that problem with Jasmine's football. They used to give us directions and stuff. Park here and walk over there and stuff like that.
Yeah, to be fair, most clubs do that, but
However,
yeah.
I'm not against the sign, but perhaps a bit better instruction from the club would be good.
I think if it's not a permanent thing and it's a temporary banner, I don't see what the problem is. Because they can take it up and pull it down.
You're just talking about stabbing a sign in the ground or something.
No,
It's a car park.
it's on side of pavilion so you can see it from car park.
Wasn't that wrong?
Well, to be fair, signs for anything, don't they? No,
No, what I'm thinking about is if people drive up to the car park's full, they're not going to look at the pavilion, it's going to turn and drive away. So if they got a temporary sign and they started to go round at the bottom of the car park that said, what's Craig Morris, this way, then they can pull it out and not being used and whatever. But can make them all for that 20 quid.
That's the way.
Well, I think if we want to have a list of, you know, occupants of the park, your users of the park, we should have it on the gate.
Yeah.
So when you come in off West Close Road, you know, it says Victory Park, and then you have your
All your clubs.
all different clubs.
yeah.
Although I dare say Barlett Town encourage people to come in from Greenfield, so they don't really want to get advertised at that entrance because they don't want people going that way.
Juniors Club does, but not the main.
Yeah,
You
so
can have an asterisk access from Greenfield Lane.
so to my mind, I think we should accede to the request from Warriors for a sign on the building, which, you know, wouldn't be such a permanent fixture that it's rooted in thing. And then if we as a town council want to put up a sign with multiple listings on, we do that as a separate venture at the entrance, or at the VK entrance.
There's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. I mean, that's all I'm thinking. That banner's not going to come down. It's just going to be all faded and horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can monitor that, can't we?
I don't think people see it, that's the point. I don't think it's, in my head, if I see somebody driving into that car park and it's full, we can't see the clubhouse from there.
Yeah.
No. The mother's in the way, the skate park's in the way.
Always wear a mask sign at head height in the entrance to my door at work. First thing anybody said was, don't need a mask.
I just think people are going to struggle to see it on the building. That's what. Whatever.
I think what the visiting clubs are struggling to see are any rugby pitches, because they come in, they see all the football pitches, and all the rugby posts are hidden away around the van. So that's the issue that there is. And, you know, I think.
Yeah, but the stake in the ground kind of sign on the bottom of the car park or so.
Take it this way.
Let's get a nice big fancy sign for the gate, like you suggested.
So it can vandalise.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Councillor Strickland.
I don't disagree with anything. I think personally, after the discussion we had with it, if they want to pay for a sign that's going on the end, we should just sort of lead to what we want that sign to be made from. I think a dye bond or something like that is much more durable, weathered. It'll last a lot longer, and it's fairly easy to set down because it'll be half a dozen screws if they decide not to be tenants of that pavilion. And that's the key to that, is that they're not the owners of it, they're only tenants. Could well change at any time. Hopefully it doesn't, but and then guide them to put in a temporary match day sign somewhere on that car park that they can see with a West Craven Warrior motive and an arrow. So when they look left, they'll see their sign. And if you want to put something on the gates, I think it's a good idea. I think the entrance to the park. I don't know, is there any signs anywhere for Victory Park?
There's a map.
The keep dogs on lead sign.
Yeah.
We use it for
We don't have any road
advertising.
signs though that says Victory Park all the way around.
It's an old one. It's been there since a long time.
It's been there as long as I can remember.
Yeah. It's funny how no one's noticed that.
Just satisfies me. But I think the key to the sign is that if they stop using the pavilion, it comes down without any hassle. And banners are great, but bad weather, bit of wind, it starts flapping around, kids will be hanging off it before we know it, climbing up here. And and it looks horrible, doesn't it? We're better off just paying a little bit more for a good sign.
Dye bond.
There's lots of
So
different
it's called?
types of, yeah, there's like
Two words, yeah.
aluminium sheeting.
Foam core.
Yeah.
They can always apply for a grant as well if they're struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, they know this. It's not like it's a
It
secret.
won't be offensive.
They've applied before, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a definitive proposal.
Second one, Nick said.
Yeah, I'm happy to move that and including the gate sign if that's what they want to do is stay on. But
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah, the worries thing was...
so we're allowing the sign, we want to put something at the gate, and we're going to advise them to put a stake in the ground to say we are this way.
They do put one on the front of the pavilion where the cafe area is. But I think they've got to get into that car park to see it.
Right, okay.
A temporary one.
Okay, all those
On that day.
all those in favour? Fantastic. Anything else from the General Purposes Committee, Councillor Wick?
Well, hesitate to put my toe in water really, but the final minute was about building maintenance programme, and I've been out making some inquiries, and I've got a couple of names as to, you know, sort of who wanted to go down the route of you know, commissioning people to do the work on our behalf, but we haven't really done anything further on that, so
No, no.
go on then.
But no other town council around here does it.
Pardon?
No other town council around here does it. But what the general town councils do is get some sort of surveyor,
Yeah.
charter surveyor is it, in to do them on their behalf, but they were the quite big councils that answered it. Because we have a clerks forum, so I asked the question, does anyone do this, and if so, how did they do it? That was it. That's as far as I got.
Yeah, yeah, like I say, we haven't really done much work on it. I mean, I've got one surveyor, you know, private practice in Skipton, and the other suggestion is whether Pendle Council would undertake the work with their property people. So there's two options that we could look at there.
I mean, if Pendle Council organised it, they could get all the other
They go to
town
the
councils
surveyor,
involved.
they do the
They all say a lot of it.
Yes.
What's it like for the road that's?
taken over maybe. Buildings that haven't been painted for years now.
100%. And that, for them people that went in GP, what the discussion was about was looking at sort of a scheme of works over however long we want to do it. We don't want to get to the town council meeting in 20 years and we need a new roof. So if it gets surveyed now and somebody says, fine for another decade, it's great, you push it right to the end, but if your windows are getting goose, do we start looking at grants towards replacement over the next 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, and stuff like that. Right down to just general sort of maintenance. And there's wide schemes available and people, professionals, to give you a very small sort of a survey and what you need to do right the way through everything. It's however big a bag they want to take with it. But I just think it's important, from my perspective, just the future-proofing of the building and stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And it simplifies contracting out any routine maintenance as well, because you've got a schedule recommended, you can just send that out. And,
Chair, I would suggest the next step is you know, finding out how much it would cost us to commission that work, not the actual, you know, hands-on repair work.
Approach a surveyor to how much
Yeah.
it needs doing, how much it
Yeah. There was something that struck me afterwards, which we didn't discuss, but it was thought that there was going to be another round of public sector decarbonisation with bids invited this autumn, and I was thinking about our heating of this building and whether we could renew the heating facility, and given that our boiler is
They're not working.
geriatric. However, I've heard that that's not now in the immediate offing, that it's been held back unless anybody knows any better. So it's not urgent, but I wonder whether we could include that within the consideration.
I think it would be anyway, wouldn't it? It should be anyway, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the, you want to look at the entire building. You don't want to look at the external, because, if you're going to survey it, do it, get it all done.
But it was whether we could apply for the grants on the decarbonisation. If it was like next month, I don't think we'd be able to meet the timetable, but if it's put off until later, next year or whenever, we probably could do.
Could we get quotes in advance of how much it would be to put something in, so when the grant is there, it's just a case of updating it if someone's looked at it?
Yeah. The way that it's worked previously is they advertise that there's going to be a bidding round, and you really have to have a scheme on the shelf to be able to do it, which means you've done all your preparatory work. Previously, the conditions have been that if you're replacing a boiler, for instance, they expect you to invest what it would have cost you to replace your boiler, but the decarbonisation could be not only a new heating source, so it could be a ground source heat pump or whatever, but also they would look at the insulation of the building, a whole building approach to doing the energy reduction.
Like lights and things that they need to do.
Yeah, well, we've done all the lights in here, but we were looking down Victory Park, and there's still on fluorescence down there. So, I mean, it could be a package of work which is assisted by grants, rather than just replace a knackered boiler.
So is that two separate proposals or?
No, I think people generally say let's roll it all into one.
So we want to instruct a surveyor and look at the future building regarding the boiler installation.
A survey would go under it. Should do.
Yeah.
Got a seconder for that? Absolutely. All those in favour? Item number 6, finance. I'll take this in two parts. To confirm approval of payments made by the town clerk to the council since the last meeting of the council. Proposed. Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. And the second part, to delegate consent for payments to be made prior to the next meeting of the council. Proposed. Seconded. All those in favour? Item number 7, withdrawal of the warfaring clinic at the surgery on Park Road. Councillor Wick.
Yes, Chairman. Somebody contacted me last week, and top and the bottom of it is that currently around 40 people or so attend a regular clinic which is held at the Park Road surgery to check the anticoagulant levels within the blood. Apparently Park Road Surgery saying they can't accommodate that clinic anymore. So the 40 or so people are now having to go to their Anton home for this clinic. And given that we've got the so-called Newtown Clinic, which is, well, I think it's got Airedale midwives in it and nothing else, is going begging. We've got the renal centre that could possibly accommodate further health services in conjunction with ones that they've already got. It's absolutely bizarre that we're just getting kicked from pillar to post, or people using these clinics are getting kicked from pillar to post. And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason in the deployment of facilities, the use of the existing facilities that there is, and there doesn't seem to be any interest whatsoever in looking at providing new facilities, which this council has been banging on about for time immemorial. Now, I understand that Bosom Friends are happy to make space available for the INR clinic, and it may be that that's a possibility, but I think the underlying issue is we don't have adequate facilities. A facility that has been provided is well, not half empty, it's a tenth full, if that, and we're just getting ignored. So it opens up the wider argument about getting decent facilities in Barnoldswick, having a proper health centre where everybody knows where they're going. The current situation is completely unacceptable, and it's utterly unacceptable that the NHS are expecting 40 people to trundle off to Colne rather than one person to come from Colne or wherever to provide a clinic which is accessible to local people. So I would propose that we ask Joe to write a very strongly worded protest at the cavalier way in which the health service is treating the town, and that we yet again demand a meeting with the appropriate people to put over the case for a proper health centre and accessible health services and facilities for everybody that lives in West Craven.
I'll second that. Got to say, we've been complaining long enough that they're only going to give us half a clinic, and now they tell us that half a clinic's only half full.
I have seen a letter going around, someone shared it, that the reason a room at the surgery is not available from mid-September is because they've got an extra clinician in, which I think an extra clinician is great for the town because they can see the same as a doctor and prescribe, because it's on that voice message as soon as you ring up, we've got these people that can all see you and prescribe the same way as a doctor, so it gets more appointments. But the main question is why that letter says that them going there is not viable. It says they've looked at other venues in the town, which I think means that clinic, and it says they're not viable.
I understand they couldn't afford the rent for it.
So an NHS service can't afford the rent in an NHS building.
Yeah. It's diabolical.
Yeah.
That's competitive healthcare for you. Conservative policy, honestly.
It's way beyond time now that this town had its own dedicated health centre with everybody doing what was needed in one place. Years ago it should have been built. you shouldn't be sat here today asking Joe to write a letter to the NHS for something that should already be in place.
I'd be curious how many letters we've written over the years. I've been on the council about 4 years.
This council has even offered land for the NHS to do it previously, free of charge.
So we've had a proposal and second. All those in favour of a stronger worded letter? Thank you.
Emanating.
Please. Item number 8, Town Council banking. To consider moving the current banking facilities the council have to Unity Banking. Joe?
This is, well, it should have been, this has been ongoing a while, but it's a recommendation from the accountant currently operating cheques, which is quite antiquated. So Unity Banking there's an element of it that's sector specific, so they deal with hundreds of town councils up and down the country, if not thousands. A question we asked on the Clerks Forum about how good they were, they'd come off glowing, whereas other banks, especially ours, don't. So at the moment the problem is that Yorkshire Bank won't allow us to do me entering something and 2 people signing it off, because that's what the council's rules say. Unity Bank allow it. Also has an interest rate that's 4 times what we're getting now on credit interest.
So council together.
Just do it.
Opposed?
Second that, yes.
Seconded. All those in favour?
Let's make some off with that.
Let's not mess it up.
Okay.
I ain't committed you to anything.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here and I'm going to take item 11, which is correspondence and items for information. Do we have any items for information?
Angela had something she wanted to bring up. And I can't remember what it was. Not
Not that one.
Oh, I know what it was. Your recycling week. You want to tell everybody?
Yes. So it was just information. I did say to Joe, should I share it here or not? Thank you for the opportunity. So, Barnoldswick have been doing a bit of work with building bridges. It's in Nelson. They elected us to recycle now. They do a campaign every year trying to encourage people to do more recycling. Their theme this year is sort of rescue me. So before you stick something in the bin, think, could you actually do something else with it? And I think there's a general feeling, I know we feel this, that sometimes you want to do more, but you actually get confused. Can you do this? Do you have to wash that? Where does this go? Where can that go? So we just thought we'd team up with Recycle Now, building bridges. There's a few events going on around Pendle, and just do a day on the town. So we've chosen, the week runs 14th to the 20th of October. We picked the Saturday the 19th. I'm just wondering when the big festival was. And we're hiring the Frank Street Centre. So just in the process of planning what that day might look like. We definitely want it to be a family day, so we're thinking about kids' activities, getting people to bring an item in, like an old jar or a multiple, and turn it into a Halloween lantern, because that's coming up, and give quite a lot of messaging and information. It could be quite low-key, but we're trying to get some guests in, particularly somebody like David Walker, who's kind of the Pendle Environmental, I can't think of his full title right now, but he manages recycling and all of that side. There's a group called Climate Fresk that started doing kind of carbon literacy, but a bit of a fun way, an engaging way, that do pop-ups. There is an event going on, what's it called? Beatbox. I don't know if you've come across Beatbox, trying to get more people walking. So we're trying to make it a Beatbox location, so we get more people coming through on that. So we're just trying to get it to be a fun and a bit of dispelling myths and giving some truths, and if everybody could just recycle one more item, just look how much we could be doing. So we're trying to get a fun thing, informative. We're also looking at engaging West Craven High School, because we kind of do some work with their Eco Forum, and move on to the schools. So just for information really, if anybody wants to be involved or a bit close to it, or got any ideas, really welcome. That was it really.
Brilliant. Thanks for Angela.
Sorry, I think me and Mike were just imagining like someone, beatboxing, rapping along.
Have we got any questions on the live chat?
3 people
Bye.
watching. No questions.
Brilliant. On that note, we are going to exclude press and public due to the nature of the next 2 items.
Move that we exclude press and public, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got that.
Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. Thanks for joining. See you next time. In the words of Councillor Hoyle, thanks for coming, Greaves. Sorry. Thanks for